Welcome in. It's live Locked On Chiefs, and your Chiefs have an RB1 that's going to be a little bit limited. What else is going on as they wrap up and move forward towards minicamp and the return of all the veteran players today on Locked On Chiefs Live? Well, that was a...
From the land of the free and the home of the Chiefs, this is the Locked On Chiefs podcast.
Well, that was fun, and all these things happen when we're live, folks, so welcome back to Locked On Chiefs. Thanks for making us your first listen. Check out another Locked On show for your next listen and find out about the teams that Chiefs have to play this season. There's a lot coming up. I'm excited about this. We got a little bit of an update on some of the players, who's coming in, who's looking good, and who we expect to see more from coming up today. But make sure you like, sub, and hit that bell here on YouTube. Get subbed on Apple. Get subbed on Spotify, wherever you want to hear us on audio. We appreciate you. Hey, Daryl, hope you're doing well. There's a lot of folks out here. I'm going to get into where I think this needs to go starting today. Chris can tell me why I'm wrong, and then we'll go from there. I'm Ryan Tracy, the founder of Rogue Analytics and Performance Consulting, NFL33.com, and RGRFootball.com.
And I'm Chris Clark from Chiefs Corner. There's a lot to talk about when it comes to Pacheco. Sounds like he's going to be out for, and we don't really know a time frame. I guess that's the biggest key. They don't have a real time frame for him. All he said is he's going to be ready for the first game of the season. That's what's really important. And as long as they're looking forward to that and he believes he'll be there, that's really what we have to worry about. Really quick, before we jump into this, I do want to say, if you want a chance to text us at 816-357-8781. That is going to be picking up, especially with camp kicking off. Not really in the full swing of things yet, since it's just rookies and QBs and a couple of injured veterans, but that will be kicking off here shortly.
And the nice thing about the text line is you can talk to us, but you're also going to get some limited edition type hits from us about news that drops, how things progress, and what we have to tell you that may have to wait until we record the show. So it's a quicker way to get information from us as well. Check it out. This running back situation is a little bit different than what we talked about yesterday with Turk Wharton, who is going to miss time on the PUP list. They've not officially done that, at least not in the last half an hour since I checked last, with Isaiah Pacheco.
Oh,
it has been done?
Sorry. No, not with Pacheco. Sorry.
Right.
Pacheco's going to be practicing. They can't be putting him on PUP anymore. Sorry. Wharton is on the PUP. I apologize. I was confused as to what you're saying.
Yeah. And that's a positive sign in my mind that Pacheco is going to get there. The fact that he's in and working, even in a limited fashion, allows you to get prepared and allows you to not have to schedule to miss that time coming up. So I think that sets up when the vets arrive. They should be in I believe, 3 days' time. The 23rd, the veterans can practice. We will see them then. And I think that allows him to get his feet underneath him. What's Pacheco going through? He's out at practice. Yes, he's doing some individual drills. That's really the limitation of it. So what are you doing? You're in the ice bath a lot. You're getting therapy in a bunch of modalities. There's, all kinds of ultrasound, electric stim, whatever the situation happens to be. Now, with his injuries in particular, it's the shoulder labrum that I'm most concerned about for me long-term. So that's a lot of strengthening around the shoulder, giving yourself more armor. Now, he's a guy who carries a body type that's pretty thick through the shoulder region. So I hope that just allows him to put that armor back on rather quickly and protect himself throughout the season.
Yeah, and he did say that when he talked to the media that his goal for this season is to run for 1,000 yards, not to have 1,000 yards from scrimmage, but to run for 1,000 yards. I think he had around 850 last year, so he should be in a pretty good position to be able to do that, assuming he starts day one, it sounds like that is the plan as of right now.
Yeah, I think that it should be. If you have to adjust from there, go ahead. But let's think positively, right? I think there's a lot of directions that it can take, but having him as your number one, I think, is a two-edged sword at this point. He's got experience. He obviously brings the juice and the effort every single snap, and we love that, right? But here's the thing. This offense hinges on outside zone, and both your tackles are new. So there is a bit of a deficit to missing reps with those starting tackles here. Can you make up for that? Sure. The Chiefs have extra practices versus most of the rest of the league. There's 8 teams practicing right now. So other than those other 7, you've got a little bit of an edge, right? But that is something to keep an eye on because particularly on the wide zone, you want to have an idea of what your linemen are going to see and do and how you're going to read not only them, but the defenders as well. So I do think if this goes on more than, say, a week past the veterans reporting, I think we got to get a little bit concerned about what that's going to mean come week 1, week 2. By week 3 or 4, it should be sorted out either way.
Yeah, I would think that there may be a tiny bit of concern, but I guess what I would say is that he's going to be there. He's going to be watching from right behind where all those plays are taking place. He may not be the one carrying the ball and seeing it with that type of vision, but he will be seeing it. So that's going to be helpful. And yeah, it's not the same as running the ball from that position, but I agree with you. I think it is concerning he's not going to get those reps with those new offensive linemen, but I think that he's going to be in a position where he's going to be healthy and he's going to be ready to go. And with the individual drills, he's able to get in. He's able to, hold on to the ball a little bit, run through some of the padded stuff, but he's not going to be hit. That's the real big thing, and they're taking care of that shoulder. I mean, that's the most important thing right now. There's no reason to risk it.
I agree. Like, take it soft now. We all know about what kind of camp Andy runs and what this preseason is going to look like. We'll talk about that coming up here in a little bit as we have another newcomer's perspective on that we can chat on. But shout out to all you locals, you everydayers. We appreciate you guys. Glad that you're back. And if you are new to us, you can become an everyday or two. Just get subbed. And that's because we're here 5 days a week for you, no matter what. And this time of year, you're going to get some bonus episodes from us as well, particularly on some of those days that have not just a 10-10-10 practice, but have some hitting, have some contact that we need to go over, or some standout plays. This is small things that can turn into big changes in the depth chart this time of year, and we look forward to that. So when we get back, go ahead.
I was just going to say, and just a reminder, we're going to be trying to go live as much as we possibly can for the next couple of weeks while we're in training camp mode, because if we don't get to see you live, it's all going to be pretty much old by the time you would see it on YouTube. So we're here for you 5 days a week, and we're trying to get you the information as soon as we possibly can. So be sure to check it out.
So bear with us while live times may vary depending on the day and the practice schedule and availability of not just the team, but us as well. But we will keep you on your toes, and we'll give you the information as soon as we can. But after this, we have to talk about a new vet. That's something you don't get to say every day, and his perception of what's going on just here as we get ready for the veterans to report.
Our partners at eBay Motors have teamed up with Locked On Fantasy Football host Vinny Iyer to bring you some of the best fantasy picks each week, all season long. Whether you're prepping for a draft or scouting the waiver wire, every week we're going to provide you players that are guaranteed to fit on your roster. So with draft prep underway for the upcoming season, let's see who Vinny has picked out for us on this week's eBay's Guaranteed Fit Fantasy Picks of the Week. Looking to make a smooth turn in your fantasy football snake drafts? With the last pick in the first round and the first pick in the second round, you'll be guaranteed to have the two surest players in the AFC West by going with Raiders wide receiver Devontae Adams and Chiefs quarterback Patrick Mahomes. Adams has proved he remains a reliable top selection in Las Vegas, while Mahomes will again operate with both the highest floor and ceiling among the standout luxury options at his position. Vinny Iyer from Locked On Fantasy Football is going to help you win your fantasy championship, and eBay Motors knows a championship team is about each player being a perfect fit. Same with your vehicle. With eBay Guaranteed Fit and over 122 million parts and accessories for your vehicle right at your fingertips, you can make sure your ride stays running smoothly. From air filters, brakes, batteries, taillights, alternators, shocks, struts, you name it, eBay Motors has it. And they'll make sure it's the right fit for your car, because eBay Guaranteed Fit helps you understand exactly what part you need for your vehicle the first time. So go forth, switch gears, crank the AC, and say goodbye to sweating if your ride needs a little fixing up. Because now you know you'll always be set up for success from the get-go. With eBay Guaranteed Fit, everything your vehicle is calling for is just a click away. For the parts and accessories that fit your vehicle, just look for the green check. Get the right parts, the right fit, and the right prices at ebaymotors.com. Let's ride. eBay Guaranteed Fit only available to U.S. customers. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
Every exclusion has to apply. That's what I keep saying. And exclusions are how you get down to making your decision points, particularly if you're a free agent. If you're coming off a team that's had some success and has a Hall of Fame quarterback, sometimes that's pretty difficult because you're leaving a situation that is unique, that is successful, and that fosters continued development and growth. So for a guy like Mike Edwards to make the decision in the offseason, as he was asked about by the beat reporters today, Derek actually got a couple of questions in that I thought were pretty telling about what the process is. And you have to go through a lot. And certainly the environment around the team is one thing. The success that they've had is another, but it's also about fit. And what I took away from the presser today was that Edwards had a couple of options, but he wanted that combination that he could foresee going back to another Super Bowl, obviously with a new team. But that is what it came down to. Having an opportunity and a young backfield, I think probably was the deciding factor, because he's a guy with his veteran experience, 5 years in the league, that he can walk in and he doesn't have to know exactly what's going on, but he'll know why, because he'll recognize what's going on in the offense, having played not only this team, but all the other teams in the league. I think that's really key to having that veteran experience, even if you don't know the system yet.
Yeah, and I will say really quick, just so everybody knows, the reason Edwards is there is because he was dealing with a hamstring injury going through OTA. So he's eligible to come because he was a little bit injured. That's why he's able to be there for these practices. And I'm guessing it was a little bit voluntary on his part as well, because he wants to get in there. He wants to be, get used to the defense, get used to the system, and get used to the play calls. But he did have some great words for, by Brian Cook. He said that Cook does not look like a young player. He looks like a veteran that is calling everything back at the back of the defense. And that's a great sign for this, for this defense going forward. Edwards understands he is there to be a backup and to be maybe the guy that's in the 3 safety set that comes in to help them. And I think that's a good sign as well. So he understands his role, but then he even expounded and said something talking about how it's impressive because this organization takes things so carefully, plans them out so carefully, and then really does them so well. You look at what they do in OTAs, you look at what they're doing in training camp, you look at how they have their mini camp and all that. He can see why they've had success.
Yeah. And it all comes around to the way that you do things is how you do things and how far you get doing those things.
Yep.
I think that's what makes it attractive. And we talk about why some free agents might want to come here and others might not. Clearly for Edwards, it's about the structure and everything that they put into it. I know that folks are disappointed this week about D-Hop signing with Titans, although I haven't seen that come to fruition yet. So I'm still kind of up in the air on that. I don't know if that contract was signed, but it doesn't look like he's going anywhere else, certainly not in Kansas City. But what does that take you back to is that they have a plethora of talent at the wide receiver position that's already here. You don't necessarily have to go out and get another free agent. You have to develop what's here. And I still am kind of on the cusp here. There's a question, and we're going to try to sprinkle questions in, folks, especially on these live episodes where we're trying to get information in. Sean Sides had a nice one, and I do want to put this out there. Would the Chiefs keep 7 wide receivers just to keep Justin Ross from getting coached? And that's a great question because they have so much depth of talent at that position, and Justin's one of them. Now, if you want the truth about Justin Ross and why I'm maybe one of the more skeptical on whether he can contribute to this roster or not, go over to RGR. There's a members video that's going up on Friday. It'll tell you the truth of what I really think, because I'm not here to call anyone out. But you got to be truthful in the fact that he is one of several guys that has the talent, if he's able to stay healthy and learn the offense. Those are 2 key things that could contribute. And he might be 7th. He might be 8th. That's how deep this group is. And I think that's the other advantage of all these things that the organization does that Mike Edwards talked about today, is also why they end up with this kind of depth at another position that's key to the offense.
Well, and I'm glad you bring up DeAndre Hopkins. I want to say really quick on that subject. It's good that Kansas City doesn't have to go out and try to match Tennessee's offer. Yeah. They didn't feel like they had to go try to match that offer. Now, whether or not they were going to even get anywhere close to that offer, I can't imagine that they were going to. But they feel good enough about what they have on the roster. And what you saw last year with what they were able to get done with the receivers they had then makes you think that they have a pretty good idea as to what they need to be able to be successful. Yes, they're expecting a big step up from Sky Moore, and I think that he's going to be able to provide that. They're expecting MBS is going to be able to do things, and Tony is going to be able to do things, and maybe Rasheed Rice is going to step in and be able to do some things as well. So we'll see how that turns out. You bring up Justin Ross, and I know you're going to have your video that comes out on Friday. And I just want to say, Matt and I talked about this a little bit. Seth and I really talked about this a little bit as well on Monday. And, the big question with Ross is, can he be a good receiver? Can he be an elite receiver in the NFL? Does he have the talent, the natural ability to run routes, the natural ability to be able to do things on offense? Possibly. But the big question with him, and you said it to begin with, one of them is, can he stay healthy? But the bigger question with him is, can he get into the spot where he's supposed to be offensively? Because there are some teams that will allow you to have talent and maybe not be in the correct spot, but that's never going to fly in Andy Reid's system. If he can't be where he's supposed to be, running routes and getting the timing of where he's supposed to be on the field, and it goes deeper than just running routes. It goes to knowing the game enough to see the position or see your route from the quarterback's perspective, because they do have option routes. They do have things that they're going to be looking at, and he's got to know if a certain defense comes, Patrick's going to expect me to be here, not where I was originally thinking I was going. That's the key to Ross making this team. That's the biggest factor.
Yeah, I agree with you. It's a combination of all those things that contribute to, are you in position to make plays, whether it's availability or functionality within the offense. Can you help the quarterback? That's what it's all about. I think there's one guy in particular that's starting to show that he can, maybe a little bit more than OTAs. Had a stumble yesterday that we talked about, but where is Rasheed Rice? What can he do? And where are we right now before the rest of the wide receivers get into camp? We're going to talk about him right after this. Now, I got to give Rasheed Rice credit, because when we recorded our show yesterday, we hadn't seen the presser for him, or at least I hadn't. And to come out and tease yourself right off the bat for having to lose your lunch, good for him. That didn't happen today. So he's made a recovery enough. He's learned that he's got to hydrate. He's got to time his meals a little bit better to be able to be ready for Andy's camp. Edwards talked about this as well, just about, yes, this is real. Like all the rumors that everyone knows around the league that we always talk about, that I think some fans kind of think, is that really real? Yeah, that's the truth. And Edwards reiterated exactly what Rice said yesterday, that you got to be in shape before you get here. Most teams, you show up, you start walkthroughs, you start learning, right? You're getting into shape as you practice. That ain't the case in KC. It wasn't the case in Philly before. And I think Rasheed Rice has shown already that his maybe not a little bit underprepared, but he certainly has made a recovery just in 24 hours.
Well, it's what's crazy about that to me is, if you think about it, you would think that players are going to hate that, because that doesn't really seem like that would be very player friendly. Yet Reid is known as one of the most favorite player coaches in the NFL by just about everybody. All the players love him. So it doesn't matter that he's making them work their butts off. They still love him regardless, which means he has gotten to a point where he can connect with the players, and they know his personality. He gets to know them. He gets to know their personality. And Matt actually brought this up, I think, on Wednesday's show, talking about, have we ever seen the side of Reid where he actually goes and talks to kids? We haven't really. So we're sitting there watching Reid interact with Mahomes' kids. That's not a side that you normally get to see, but it brings in something that you don't get to see with Reid very much, which shows you the type of relationship he tries to have with his players and the people around him. And I think that's what makes him such a great coach. And you talk about Rasheed Rice. The big question with him was, is he going to be able to come back from getting sick? And there were a lot of people that made a big deal about him getting sick. I don't think we made a big deal of it. We were just talking about it. But it is important to realize that this is a different experience for everybody that comes in that's never been through an Andy Reid system before and has dealt with that Missouri heat. So it's going to be something that they're going to have to learn to deal with. And like you said, Rice has already kind of figured some of that out.
Yeah, and that's the positive case, because made a couple of nice catches today, as I understand, was in the right place. Yep. Now, obviously, he is by far the most revered and has the highest expectations of anybody currently in camp catching passes from Patrick and the quarterbacks right now today, because the vets aren't here yet. So he should be making these plays. He should be the guy that's standing out. But all rookies adjust at the same time. We weren't saying that of Sky Moore last year, and Sky came on at the end of the season because he had a different adjustment path. Rasheed Rice looks like he's done some, and then he's in a good shape to do more right now. And I think a lot of folks were worried about, are they going to carry him just because he was a draft pick? Well, yes, but it definitely feels
no doubt about that.
It definitely feels like he's confirming that, though, and that he is going to earn his reps. Is he going to be the fourth wide receiver? I can't say that yet, but it's certainly in that area of possibility. Could he be fourth? Could he be sixth or seventh? Sure.
And one of the things Yeah, and one of the things that's really going to play into this and how this is going to work out, and that I'm curious about is he going to be somebody that they're going to use on special teams? They found a way for Sky Moore to contribute on special teams, which made it a little bit easier to feel like you could carry him, even if he wasn't going to contribute on offense. And you start talking, you asked the question about Justin Ross. Well, Justin Ross doesn't play special teams. So are you going to have another guy like Rasheed Rice that maybe can step in and play special teams, which allows you to carry another wide receiver that maybe wouldn't contribute that way? And that's another great point that you're bringing up right now about Nico being the 7th wide receiver, just because of his special teams contributions. That is a bigger key than a lot of people want to talk about, and it's part of what goes into the roster every single season.
Yeah, thanks, Trav. That was a great point there. And Clinton, Vets should report and be ready for practice on the 23rd. The special teams contribution, I still feel like seven wide receivers is a possibility. Obviously, without D-Hop, it's less of a necessity. So what you want to see is heavy competition for that 6th spot, so they don't have to go 7. I think that allows a little bit more versatility. We all know they want to carry 4 tight ends. I think that's pretty plausible all the way around. We'll have more on that once the Vets get to town, but right now, it looks like they're in good shape at the wide receiver spot. I hope you guys agree. We're going to get into what happens tomorrow. We'll probably give you a bonus episode. We'll see what happens. But remember, we're here 5 days a week at a minimum. And during camp, you'll get some bonus episodes from us, especially when things happen. Now, I'm looking forward to everybody getting back. You Logos are too. And for those of you who don't know, Logos are Locked On Chiefs official subscribers. We appreciate you guys. You came up with your own name, and I love that. We're going to continue to use it. But that means you can be a subscriber on YouTube. You can be a subscriber on Spotify. You can be a subscriber on the text line. You can be a subscriber on Apple, the original, the big daddy of all the podcasts, right? But thank you. Get into it. Get with us, because this season's going to take off fast. They're out early, and they're going to be here a very long time. Thanks for being with us today. We very much appreciate your time and your subscriptions. More from camp tomorrow. Take a look at some of the other rookies coming up as well. You guys have a great one, and we'll talk to you tomorrow.